Good morning, students. Good morning, class. I'm C. Ankit Sharma, your income tax faculty for today's session, in which we will be discussing the provision regarding income from other source. So, income from other source is our last head of income. Out of those 5 heads of income, like we have covered salary, we have covered income from house property, income under the head PGBP, that is related to business and profession. Then capital gain, which talk about the capital asset when it's transferred. So after these 4 heads of income, which specifically discuss that which kind of income is going to be included in a particular head. For example, if you are doing service, if you are working somewhere, and if you are in a relationship of master and servant, that is recognized as employer-employee. So that payment is going to be taxable under the head salary. So that salary head described that which kind of income is going to be taxable under the head salary. In the same way, section 22, charging section of income from house property, that describe that which kind of income is going to be taxable under income under the head house property. That there must be a building and the assessee should be the owner or deemed owner. It should not be used for the purpose of business or profession, etc. So if certain conditions are fulfilled, then the annual value from that building is going to be taxable under the head income from house property. Then section 28, which is charging section of PGBP, that describe that which income is going to be taxable under the head business or profession. So we have the specific list of income that is going to be included under PGBP, but the summary is that if anything which is directly or indirectly earned out of a business or a profession, that is going to be taxable under the head PGBP. Then section 45, that is a charging section of capital gain, which is very simply described that if there is a capital asset and if there is a transfer, then the result is going to be treated under capital gain act. But section 56, which is charging section of income from other source, does not describe that which kind of specific income is going to be taxable under the head income from other source. But it says if there is any income which is not going to be included in other heads of income like salary, PGBP, capital gain and house property. So if there is any income which is not going to be included under any other head of income and which is chargeable to tax, that should be income. Like if you're getting loan from some bank, so loan is not an income, so the chargeability in any head does not arise. So if there is any income which is chargeable to tax under income tax and it is not going to be included in any other head of income, then that income is going to be included under income from other source. Like bank interest, if we are getting saving account interest, FDR interest, dividend income, etc. So there are certain specific income also which is going to be included under this head, like dividend, gifts, etc. Interest income, etc. Again, interest income, if is your ordinary course of business part, like if it is that the primary income of your business, then it does not fall under income from other source, like in case of bank, etc. So bank's primary income, main business income is interest income. So that is not going to be included under income from other source. That is going to be included for PGBP. In PGBP head for that bank. So because in that situation, the interest is going to be taxable under PGBP in case of bank, etc. The assessee is the bank. So automatically, because it has been included under PGBP, so that cannot be included under income from other source. So income from other source has no specific definition, no specific character that which kind of income is going to be included under this head. But it says if there is any income chargeable to tax and does not include in any other head of income, then that is going to be taxable under income from other source. So if any of you understood that what kind of income is going to be taxable under those four heads: salary, PGBP, capital gain, and house property. Then automatically, if there is any income is given in question, which is not going to be included in business head, capital gain, salary, or house property, then automatically that will fall under income from other source. जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, जिसका कोई नहीं होता उसका खुदा होता है, वैसे ही ये सेक्शन 56 है कि जिस इनकम का कोई हेड नहीं होता उसका इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्स होता है. ओके, सो बड़ा सिंपल है. इफ यू अंडरस्टूड दैट दिस इनकम इज नॉट गोइंग टू बी included under other four heads of income, then that is going to be the part of income from other source. Very simple chapter in my opinion. No specific format, because various or different kind of income is going to be included. So there is no specific format to solve this kind of question, or the question which is fall under income from other source. There must be income. You are going to deduct certain kind of expenses. Ritika asking, loan from bank is also taxable? No, loan is a liability. It is not an income, Ritika. How it can be taxable under income from other source or in any other head of income? Which is something which is going to be repaid by you in future or any year. That cannot be your income, right? So technically there is no format of it. So we have very simple provision to solve this question. If there is any income, you can deduct the respective expenses, and after that any deduction or exemption if available, then you can claim that out of that income. So there is no specific format like salary head, house property, PGBP, and capital gain in case of income from other source. Questions are generally going to be asked either individual or separate question from income from other source, in short question like 2 or 3 or 4 marks, or it could be the part of your gross total income question or any other head of question. Like if there is a question of salary of 6 or 8 marks, then it might be some provisions of income from other source also given there to calculate you the total income. So generally income from other source does not come into the examination like a huge question of 8 marks or 6 marks. Remember, I am saying generally does not come like this. It does not mean I am saying it will not come. Okay, it could be a question like deemed dividend provisions, which is included in income from other source under section 222A, B, C, D, E, which we have discussed in the previous lecture in the detail, or the provision regarding the gift provisions. That can be asked like a 6 or 8 marks individual question also, but generally it is not going to be happen. So everything is important. Anything can be asked. The marks weightage could be anything. It depends upon the question paper. So income from other source having some good characteristic that the question generally does not huge. There is no specific format. Provisions are really simple and separate provisions are there. They are not interconnected like salary, etc. Under income from other source, if we talk, then technically there are three important provisions. So we can say we can divide the income from other source chapter into three separate kind of provisions, like provisions regarding deemed dividend, that is section 222A, then B, then C, then D and E. So of course deemed dividend is a detailed part we have discussed, and deemed dividend is having certain weightage because it is a separate provision. It could be asked the provision regarding A, B, C, D, E, or it could be asked all provisions of from A to E in a single question also. So that could be having a higher weightage marks in the question paper. The most important provisions, in my opinion, in income from other sources, gift provisions. So if you transfer any property, monetary or non-monetary, to any person, then that could be income from other source in the hands of the receiver under certain situations or circumstances. So that is called going to be taxable as income from other source in the hands of the receiver. And in my opinion, these provisions are at most important from this chapter, which could be asked in the examination. Again, I am saying in my opinion. So anything can be asked. And other provisions like interest income, casual income, etc., which is going to be part of these other concepts. So these are also can be framed like 1 or 2 marks weightage in a detailed questions of computation of total income, etc. also. So we will discuss the MCQ and some RTP question, of course, and some provision regarding income from other source chapter. But before that, I would like to share how to solve these kind of provisions. So if in the examination there's a detailed question which is going to be asked the provision like gift provision, like it is given in the question like Mr. A receiving multiple gifts, and then you need to solve this question in a single solution. So there is no separate questions of 1 marks, but suppose there is a 6 or 8 marks question regarding gift provision, and you have given multiple gift which has been received by a assessee, received by an assessee in the previous year. Then there is a format. There is an easy format if you will follow that. So in my opinion, you'll be able to solve that question very easy. So let me tell you how to solve these kind of question, the gift provision question. So if there is a question like 6 marks, etc., that has been given in the examination, then first of all, divide these receipts from the point of view of assessee into two categories. One is monetary, and then the other is non-monetary. I am showing you a format, a diagram. With the help of this, you are able to solve the question very easily. If you will bifurcate your question, if you will divide your question and write it down in this format, I believe that is really going to be easy for you, as I have described in capital gain chapter. That if you want to calculate the tax, you have to bifurcate your income, your GTI, into 4 or 5 parts, like long-term capital gain separately, short-term 111A separate, long-term 112A separate, casual income and other income separate. So that will really help you if you're able to put the values into that categorization. Then definitely it's very easy to solve a question. So gift provisions, if in the question multiple gifts has been given, then please follow this format. That will really going to help you. So monetary, a separate part we will solve, and non-monetary separate. In non-monetary also, we have immobile property, and we have movable property provision separately. So we already knew that immobile means land and or building. We are talking about immovable property, and in case of movable property, there are certain 8 kind of movable property which has been included for the purpose of gift provision, which is going to be taxable as income from other sources, like share in securities, bullion, jewelry, archaeological collection, sculptures, any work of art, etc. That has been specifically prescribed that only these kind of movable asset, if it has been provided to an assessee, then this is going to be included as income from other source in certain condition in the hands of an assessee. Clear? So it's very important to bifurcate your question like this, so you will be able to solve this question very easily. Now what we need to do, in case of immovable property or movable property, in both situations, we have to further divide it into two categories, because gift can be of two types. If you are getting any property as a gift, then there could be two types. Either it will be without consideration, that means you are getting it without paying anything. For example, if somebody gifted you a building, a flat of rupees 50 lakh, and they did not charge anything, So that will be called without consideration. That means you have received that property without giving anything in response of it. So that will fall under without category consideration, and the other is IC. That means inadequate consideration. For example, if the same building which has been 50 lakh rupees, you have paid 40 lakh for it. So that means that will be called inadequate consideration gifts, because in which you have paid 40 lakhs, so the gift is technically 10. In the same way, if there is a movable property, then again we will take those transactions which is without consideration over here, and those having inadequate consideration over it. So this will really going to help you to solve a question correctly if there is a question which has included multiple property which have been received by an assessee. For the monetary provision, the short provision says if you have received from one or more person, if you see any payment from one or more person in aggregate exceeding 50,000 in previous year, then whole amount will be income from other source. So if you have received 10,000 rupees from 6 different person in a previous year, whether in cash or check, etc., monetary way, then the aggregate is 60,000 rupees. Then the 60,000 will be treated as your income from other source. So that is very simple part. Technically, the monetary part is very simple, and I believe that that is not going to trouble you in the examination. But the main provisions are like this: immovable properties and movable, those are non-monetary. First of all, it's very important that if in the question it has been given, there's some property which has been received by you without consideration or inadequate consideration. So before solving that, you should recall the provision and think about those property which has been included in the definition of these non-monetary asset. Suppose the question says that Mr. A has received a car from his friend worth rupees 5 lakh without consideration. So in some time, student thinks, okay, without consideration, 5 lakh rupees, so that is going to be taxable. But please remember, before solving this kind of provision, it's very important. It's very, very important that you should, first of all, find it out that whether that asset which has been given in question does include in these category or not. So car does not include in these asset which has been prescribed by the act. So there will be no income from other source provision on the receiver. If he is receiving a car without consideration, that is not going to be taxable under income from other source in any condition. Clear? So first of all, you have to think about it that whether the asset which has been given in the question, does it include in the non-monetary assets or property which has been prescribed? If the answer is yes, we will go further, whether it's a immobile, whether it's a movable, and then further. But if that is not the asset which has been specified in this categorization, then we will not move further, and we could write that no taxability in case of income from other source. Clear? Now, for case of without consideration, the provision says that if the stamp duty value, if the stamp duty value exceed 50,000 or 10% of the consideration, whichever is higher, then that whole amount is going to be income from other source. We have discussed these provision in detail in earlier lecture which has been uploaded. In this lecture, I'm just trying to tell you that how you will include those information which has been given in the question in this format. Okay. So if this condition is fulfilled, then the whole amount will be income from other source, and this is going to be done for each immovable asset separately. So if you receive two immovable properties, stamp duty value is less than 50,000. Suppose 40,000, two separate properties. Then nothing is going to be taxable under income from other source. Same in case of inadequate consideration, we have to find it out each asset separately, that if the stamp duty value and the consideration, if the difference exceed in 50,000, then this difference is going to be income from other source. So detailed provision has been discussed. Now, in case of mobile asset, exactly the same provision, except that this 10% is not here, 50,000, then it's going to be income from other source, and then 50,000 going to be income from other source. And without consideration, we need to see the stamp duty value. In case of inadequate consideration, we have to see the difference between the stamp duty value and the consideration. In case of without consideration, everything is same. There are two differences. First one, we will take FMV in place of stamp duty value. So if the FMV exceeding the 50,000, that whole amount will be income from other source. But now the interesting thing in case of movable asset is this. That is going to be find out in aggregate. That means if you have received two movable asset worth fair market value 40,000 for free, two separate movable asset worth rupees 40,000 free, then for the purpose of these provision, we have to find it out the in aggregate values. In aggregate exceeding 50,000, this whole amount is going to be income from other source. So in case of immovable property, we are going to see that separately. But in case of inadequate, in case of movable properties other than immovable property, we have to find it out in aggregate. That has been specifically, this kind of question has been solved in illustration number 2. Also, so you can see from that illustration number 2, we have solved this kind of question in which that provision has been implemented. Illustration number 2, point number 3, that has been a question. You can find it out from the study material also. We have also solved that question in the previous lecture. Same in case of inadequate consideration. If the FMV and the consideration, if the difference exceed 50,000, again there is in aggregate, then that difference is going to be income from other source. So like suppose in this example, if 40,000 and we have paid 5,000 for it, so in that case 35,000, and same the other second 40,000, we have paid 10,000, then 30,000 inadequate consideration. So now 65,000 going to be our income from other source. So if there is a question which is like 6 or 8 marks related to gift provision, then it's my advice to sort that question like this. So you will be able to find out what kind of income is going to be taxable for without consideration, inadequate consideration, even separately for immobile and mobile. And you know what is the monetary payment which has been received by you. So we will solve that kind of question also today. But that is a format which I would like to share with you, and please follow this kind of format in your examination. Next is, now we will solve MCQ. We have almost 22 MCQ today for this chapter, because I have told you that in this chapter, the question generally going to be asked will be like 1 or 2 marks separately. If the huge question is coming, that might be from deemed dividend provisions, or it could be from income from other source, gift provision. So we will solve this MCQ one by one. And because we have solved MCQ in our all revision classes from salary, house property, PGPP, capital gain, you will see that income from other source MCQs are really easy because the provisions are easy. The chapter is also easy, of course. So let's discuss these MCQ one by one. Priya is asking, sir, in monetary gift provisions, whole amount is taxable under this head. Whole amount is going to be taxable if that is exceeding 50,000. We have just discussed, Priya. Next is in case of immovable property IC, there is a concept of 10% of commission. There is a separate concept when we find out the stamp duty value or the consideration. Then there is a concept of 50,000 and 10%. Okay, Pooja is asking, even though these properties are received by one individual without consideration, value does not. If the stamp duty value does not exceed 50,000, then in case of immovable property, that is not going to be taxable. Correct. Next is, now we are discussing the MCQ one by one. Okay, so it's very simple. Of course, these MCQs related to the small provisions, the separate provision from this chapter. So winning from lotteries are casual income and hence. So winning from lotteries are casual income and has going to be fully exempt, exempt up to 5,000 rupees or exempt up to 10,000 rupees, or it's going to be fully taxable. So we all know that winning from lotteries or casual incomes are going to be fully taxable always. There you cannot even claim the expenses. Out of the casual income, we cannot even claim the expenses. It's a very interesting provision. Like if somebody went to KBC, Kaun Banega Crorepati, and he won 50 lakh rupees from that show. But for the purpose of that show, he traveled, he incurred some expenditure of suppose 50,000 rupees. Even he cannot claim that. Even somebody has purchased lottery ticket of 100 rupees and he won lottery out of this for 10,000 rupees. So even because he purchased this lottery ticket and due to that only he was able to win that 10,000, even if you cannot claim this 100 rupees as an expenditure. So casual income has very specific character that you cannot claim any kind of expenditure, you cannot claim any deduction from 80C-80U. So you cannot claim any kind of deduction from casual income. From casual income, you cannot set off any loss. Cannot set off any kind of loss out of casual income. You cannot claim the basic exemption limit also. Like 2,50,000, 3 lakh rupees, etc. You cannot claim that also. So casual income is going to be fixed taxable. There cannot be any expenses allowability, there cannot be any deduction, there cannot be any set off, there cannot be any exemption work. So that is going to be taxable 30%. The fixed rate of taxability is 30% plus surcharge and cess if applicable. Of course, cess is applicable, surcharge will depend upon. So winning from lottery, etc. are casual income and going to be fully taxable. Okay. Second, Rakesh acquired an air conditioner for 30,000 from his friend. That is non-relative, of course. When FMV of the motor car was 50,000, the amount liable to tax. So Mr. Rakesh received two properties which are mobile properties. One is value for 30,000, another is 50,000. So what will be the treatment? Whether it's going to be taxable or not. Again, I have told you that whenever you solve gift provision, you have to see that the properties which has been given in question, whether they does include in the movable asset definition, and it should be included in those specified movable asset which has been prescribed. So air condition and motor car both does not include in that category. So there will be no taxability under income from other source in this situation. So the correct answer is D. Okay. Next is ABC transferred a residential house held as stock in trade. by way of first time allotment to Mr. Ankit for a consideration of rupees 15 lakh. The stamp duty value being 17 lakh on 11/12/23, what will be a taxable amount in the hands of Mr. Ankit? So now the asset which we are receiving is immovable property. And you can see in case of immovable property, the stamp duty value is 17 lakh and the consideration is 15 lakh. So there is a difference of 10% as well as 50,000, whichever is higher. So the difference is exceeding that. So the difference is 2 lakh rupees. So what is going to be taxable as income from other source? So that is going to be taxable as income from other source. The correct answer in this case will be 2 lakh rupees. So if there is a consideration and stamp duty value has been given, then as per the provision which has been prescribed that the difference should be exceeding the 10% or 50,000, whichever is higher. If the difference exceeding that, then the difference is going to be taxable as income from other source. In the diagram we have already made, you can also understood that provision that in case of stamp duty value, in case of immovable property, both provisions should be checked that the 10% and the 50,000, whichever is higher, the difference should be exceeding this and the value should be exceeding 50,000 or 10%, whichever is higher, then it's going to be income from other source. We have discussed this provision in detail in the previous lectures. Okay, so kindly go through the provision we have already discussed. Next is the correct answer in this is option number B. Now ABC transfer a residential house property which is held as stock in trade. One more important thing, for the applicability of gift provision, it is necessary that the receiver, whatever property is going to be received by the receiver, that should not be as his stock in trade. Income from other source provision will include those properties only in case where the asset has been received as a capital asset and not as an stock in trade. So if a building has been received by a receiver as is stock in trade, then section other source provision will not be applicable. That will be PGBP concept will be applicable. So whether the asset has been whether the asset is a stock in trade or capital asset, it does not matter from the point of view the person who is giving it, but the person who is receiving it, that in that situation that asset which has been received by a person should be a capital asset or asset for the applicability of these provisions. So if somebody is receiving shares from any person and the receiver is also doing the business of shares and he's receiving those shares and included those shares as a stock in trade, in that situation income from other source provision will not be applicable. That is also has been discussed in the lecture. So I believe that you must have gone through the lectures in detail. Of course, you have downloaded the notes. The illustration we have discussed in those previous classes in detail from the test your knowledge and illustration from the study material, you must have gone through that. There's a question like this, I guess Mr. Hari or something in those illustration also, which specifically says that if anyone has received any asset, then other source provision will be applicable. But if the receiver receive any asset as a stock in trade, then these provision will not be applicable. So ABC transfer a residential house held as stock in trade. So it does not matter because the person who is giving that property, whether that's a stock in trade or capital asset, does not affect the provision in the hands of the receiver. By way of first time allotment to Mr. Ankit for a consideration of 16 lakh. The stamp duty value is lower than the consideration. So if the stamp duty value is the lower than the consideration, then the difference is not exceeding the 10% or 50,000. That is not applicable. So in that case, there will be no income from other source. So income from other source provision will be applicable if the difference is exceeding 10% and 50,000, whichever is higher concept. The correct answer is D. Priya is saying, sir, I was asking that if exceed 50,000, suppose it's 51,000. Yes, Priya, if somebody is receiving 51,000 as a monetary gifts, then full 51,000 will be your income from other source, not 1,000 rupees only. Okay. Next, ABC transferred a residential house held as stock in trade in books by way of first allotment to Mr. Ankit for a consideration of 15 lakh. The stamp duty value is 19 lakhs. So what is the taxable amount? Again, now the difference is 4 lakh. And it has been higher than the 50,000 or 10%. So in that situation, the difference is going to be taxable. The correct answer will be C. Next is where a closely held company. That is also important question. And I know that this share provision has been also asked multiple times in the previous examination also. So the provision says if there is a closely held company receive any consideration for issue of shares, then if consideration exceeding face value of share is income from other source, if consideration exceeding the fair market value of share is other source, or it's non-taxable or full consideration is taxable. So if closely held company issues shares at premium, and the amount received is exceeding the fair market value of the shares, in that situation, that difference is going to be income from other source. So that the B provision.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, now first ask students to answer these questions. Ask them to raise their hands. Then you explain it. Give them the chance to answer. And whoever has raised their hands, now you can unmute them and specifically ask the reasoning and all.
Okay, ma'am. So sixth question we have discussed. From the next question, you can ask if you want to give your answer in these kind of questions. Let's move on to question number 7. A lady received gifts worth 1 lakh from a relative as defined under the Income Tax Act and 60,000 from her office colleague on her marriage anniversary. The taxable amount of gifts would be. Kindly read the question, and if anybody wants to answer, kindly raise your hand, and that could be unmute and you can give your answer. So kindly read the question. MCQs are very important, very tricky also. So first of all, you have to see in this case, what kind of gifts we are receiving. So a lady received gifts worth rupees 1 lakh, relative under the Income Tax Act, and 60,000. So there are two important things. You have to find it out which kind out of these two, both are going to be taxable or not. And that has been received on a marriage anniversary. So Ritika, yes, you want to answer, kindly answer the question.
60,000 is the answer because it has received from the colleague who is not a relative. In case of relative, the amount received exceeding 50,000 is also non-taxable.
Very good. And of course, it's on marriage anniversary. So if it has been received at the time of marriage, that could not be taxable. But because it has received at the time of marriage anniversary, which is out of the definition of marriage, so that is going to be taxable. Well done. So the correct answer is 60,000. That is option number B. Clear, student? Moving on to next. Mr. A received old coins worth rupees 1 lakh as gifts from his friend on 20th April 2023, for which his friend charged 25,000. The taxable amount in the hands of Mr. A would be. This will be 75,000. Or second option is 60,000. C option is 50,000, and the last is nil. So read the question properly, and if anybody wants to answer, kindly raise your hands. Ritika again want to answer. Anybody else except Ritika? Okay, other one who has raised his Rahul want to answer? Sorry, not Rahul, Ruhani. Yes, Ruhani Jain.
So the answer would be nil, as old coins are not included in the eight assets.
There is a thing, if you have read the definition correctly, there's any work of art, any antique things. So all antique, we are discussing old coins like ancient coins. So that is a kind of asset which has been appreciated like drawing, etc. So that has been included any work of art or any kind of those property which has been received earlier also. Even if you can understand that if it's an old coin, so that could be a monetary asset also, but this is not the monetary asset. So it's a tricky question. Old coins will fall a definition of those asset which has been rated as antique things. So in that case, that is going to be taxable value will be 75,000. Option A. Next is Akshay received a, this is very important. Kindly read this question because this is monetary. First of all, you have to understand that is a monetary asset or a non-monetary. So Akshay received a gift check of 35,000 each on 22nd May 2023 from his two friends. The amount chargeable. Priya asked earlier this kind of question in the query session. And now, Priya, you can see in this question, what is going to be the correct answer? We have discussed this kind of provision also. Pooja want to answer? Pooja, answer this question.
Sir, 70,000 only taxable under income
Very
from
well
other
done.
state.
Very good. Because in the monetary provision, we say that if the aggregate is exceeding 50,000, then the full value is going to be taxable. So now because Akshay received 35,000 from two friends, that means we have 70,000 rupees. And that is because exceeding 50,000. So Priya, now you can see the full amount is going to be taxable if it is exceeding 50,000. The correct answer is option number C. Next is Richa received gift of jewelry, FMV of which rupees 3 lakh on 17/10/23 from her fiance. Fine, fiance. What will be the taxable amount if there is any going to be taxable? So, who wants to answer this?
Sir, 3 lakh.
3 lakh. Okay, let me ask who going to be answered. Then please answer that question. So, correct answer is because gift from relative is going to be exempted, but fiance is not your relative. So if there is husband in place of this, then that gift is going to be exempted. But because that is not your relative, so in this situation, the relative exemption would not work. So jewelry is of course a non-monetary asset, a movable asset. And if the value exceeding 50,000, the full amount is going to be taxable, of course. So the correct answer is option number B. That is going to be taxable value is 3 lakh rupees. Well done. Mohan received a watch worth 60,000 from his cousin, that is cousin grandfather, that is brother of his grandfather. What will be the taxable amount and why? So who wants to answer this?
Sir, 60,000.
Please raise your hand. I will ask your name, then please answer. Okay, because we need to give the opportunity to other student also. They are also raising hand, of course. So what you answer? Who just give the answer? Pooja, did you give the answer? Read the question carefully first.
Yes, sir. Sir, 60,000 taxable.
Why 60,000? Why 60,000 going to be taxable? Why?
Sir, because the cousin grandfather's in law, which is not a relative person.
Okay, but you did not read what is we are gifting? Watch.
Oh, sorry, sir. Yes, sir. It is me.
सावधानी हटी दुर्घटना घटी. Okay, जल्दी नहीं मैंने कहा ना, MCQs are tricky. Examiner knows whenever you read this provision, cousin grandfather, so your focus will be on the definition of relative, and you will forget the basic provision. The first instance, the first thing, you have to see that specific asset, does it include in the definition of a specified asset or not? And because the Watch does not include in that. So other provisions are irrelevant, whether it's relative, not relative, it does not matter. So the asset should be firstly fall in that category. Only then we can move further to find out whether it's a relative or not. Because there is no asset included, so the correct answer will be A. Okay, that's why I was saying do not in rush, do not hurry. Just take your time, read the question properly, and then answer. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, now read this question. On 30th December 2023, Raju gets gift by a commercial flat from elder brother of his father-in-law. Stamp duty value is 25 lakh. The amount chargeable to tax in the hands of Raju is. Okay, so again Ritika is raising hand. Anyone else than Ritika? All others are sleeping or what is happening? Okay, somebody else also raised the hand. Uh, Shadawali, yes, please.
Yes, so 25 lakh would be the taxable amount.
Correct. And the reason why?
Sir, because this is the gift from father-in-law's brother, who is not included in relatives.
Exactly. I again advise every one of you now, first of all, without going to the conclusion that who is giving the gift, first of all, please always mention what property is going to be given as a gift. So it's a flat,
Immovable
that means
property.
it's an immobile property because you have to bifurcate in the examination. This is an MCQ, but suppose that is not an MCQ, that is a 1 marks question and they are asking, tell me the other source taxability. Then we have to write it down that it is a immovable property. In case of immovable property, because the value is exceeding 50,000, etc., then this is taxable, and because that is not relative, so exemption of relative would not work. Correct answer. Very well done, Shah. Very good. Shada, well done. The correct answer is, of course, A. 13. Rajesh gifted an immobile property for a consideration of 70 lakh. The stamp duty value as on the date of agreement is 90 lakh. Now this stamp duty value on the date of agreement and at the time of registry is very important. We have section 50C under capital gain for the same thing to find out the stamp duty value which should be taken by us for the purpose of solution. We have section 43CA in PGBP also, which deals exactly the same thing. The value of consideration, if you are transferring immovable property as a stock in trade, then the stamp duty value talks about section 43CA, and if that is in capital asset, then section 50C talks about it. Okay. So the date of registration, the stamp duty value is 98 lakh and 50,000. So this is 90 lakh. Date of registration at 98 lakh 50,000. Part of the amount of consideration of rupees 34 lakh has been received by check on the date of agreement. So what will be the taxable amount under income from other source? So who wants to answer this? Ritika and one other, only 2 students are लगता है जग रहे हैं, बाकी सारे के सारे बच्चे सो रहे हैं. So Rohani wants to answer. Okay, Rohani, go ahead.
So the taxable value will be 20 lakhs as on the date of agreement when and the stamp duty value will be taken as part amount has been paid through check on that date.
Well done. High five from Wi-Fi. Very good. Correct. So because the part of the amount has been given received by check, so we will take the stamp duty value on the date of agreement. Okay. If I have changed this question, suppose, and I am changing this check into account pay check, it has been not been written in the question that whether account pay or bearer check or cross check. Now tell me in which cases I have made a MCQ out of this MCQ. If this account pay check, if the is this by account pay check, then which stamp duty value would be taken? if this is a bearer check, then which stamp duty value need to be taken? And if there's a cross check, which stamp duty value need to be taken? Okay, who will answer this? I need 3 answers. If this account pay check, if this is a bearer check, and if this is a cross check. So either it would be 90 lakh or 98 lakh 50,000. So you have to tell me in all these 3 cases. So only raise your hand if you know the answer in all these 3 cases. Okay, let's see. Ritika, okay, you proceed.
In case of account pay check, the amount will be 90 lakh, and
Okay.
in case of bearer check, it will be 98 lakh 50,000, and cross check also 98 lakh 50,000, because bearer check and cross check are not included in ECS mode, and account pay check are included in ECS mode.
Well done, very well done, very well done, very good. High five from Wi-Fi for you also. A student generally confused in this cross check. The reason for asking this question was only this point, of course, because I know you all know about the account pay case and the bearer check. But in certain cases, when there is cross check, so generally we confuse that if it is a cross check, should we consider it as a account pay check or bearer check? So cross pay check will be considered as bearer check. Remember this. So if there's a cross pay check, then the value should be considered as 98 lakh 50,000. But in our example, of course, we will take the 90 lakh value. The difference is going to be taxable as income from other source. That is the correct answer. Option number D. Well done. Okay, some students are also sending their answers on query session also. Well done. Okay. Next is 14th. Agni Private Limited issued equity shares of 10 each at 40 rupees per share. The FMV of the shares on the date of issue was ascertained as 25 rupees per share. The company issued 1 lakh equity shares. The amount liable to tax in the hands of the company would be. Read the question first of all. Recall the provision. Read the question, recall the provision, and then find the solution. Okay, so who wants to answer? How to raise hand? Somebody's questioning. In the Zoom box, you have a section in which there is a notification. There is a option to raise hand is there. So you have to raise via that. Okay. Okay, Ritika wants to answer, or somebody also wants to answer. Let's see. Okay, Shadab, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Here 15 lakh would be the taxable amount
Why?
because the excess amount over FMD was 15 and 1 lakh equity shares was issued. So the
difference we are going to
is 15 lakh.
Okay, good. Suppose if I have removed private limited word, if I am saying Agni Limited, and it's not a closely held company. Suppose I am writing in this question that is Agni Limited, it's not a closely held company. Then what would happen? Is any change or
Yes,
not?
sir. Yes, I will change. Then
What?
no amount would be taxable.
Very good, very good. Because remember, I forget to frame this question earlier. I would have written Agni Limited only over there. And then I will frame this question. If I am going to frame this question examination, I will write it down Agni Limited, not private. Agni Limited issued equity shares of 10 each. And whenever I will give this information to a student, 40 FMV, you will focus on this value. You will forget that the first instance of the applicability of this question is that should be a closely held company. And if I will write down Agni Limited, so you should consider it not as a closely held company. So the correct answer would have been nil. But in this question, of course, the correct answer is A. So I am requesting you all kindly read the question. So in a single, if in MCQ there is a single information has been changed, then might be the complete answer will automatically change. Well done, Shadab. Next is 15th. Mr. Sudeep gives following details for previous year 24-25. On 1st December 23, he gets gift of house A from his friend Kishore. Stamp duty value has been given in question is 60 lakh rupees. What is his income from other source for above transaction? Of course, very simple question. You can answer easily. Who wants to answer? 6 lakh rupees stamp duty value, of course, 6 lakh rupees. Ritika and one more. Only 2 or 3 students are, of course, answering everything. Ritika, okay, you proceed.
6 lakh rupees because the gift is given by his friend who is not a relative.
Okay, correct. Well done. The correct answer, of course, 6 lakh, of course, because friend does not fall in definition of a relative. Asset is immovable property. We have received it. Stamp duty value is exceeding 50,000. So that value is going to be taxable as income from other source. The correct option is option number B. Next, Mr. Sudeep gives following detail for previous year 24-25. On 3rd December 23, he gets gift of house B from Ramesh, who is father-in-law of his elder brother. Stamp duty value is 40,000, but FMV was 65,000. Who wants to give the answer? If Pooja wants to answer, Pooja, please go ahead.
40,000 will be taxable under income from other source.
40,000 will be taxable under income from other source. Why? क्यों? क्यों होना चाहिए? 40,000 क्यों?
Sir, sorry sir, नहीं लाएगा
नील आएगा. नील क्यों?
क्योंकि सर 50,000 से कम की एस्टिमेट है.
करेक्ट. मैं अभी क्या बोल रहा हूँ? मैं बोल रहा हूँ प्लीज फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल रीड द क्वेश्चन, recall the provision. जल्दी क्या है? Suppose in examination, if you are going to solve a question in 2 minutes, and your friend is going to solve that question in 5 minutes, but he is going to solve that question correctly and you are solving it wrong because you are not reading the question properly. So what is the benefit of those 2 minutes? Why so hurry? Please read the provision, recall the provision. So we are talking about a house, so that is a property, immovable, done, fine. He is getting it from Ramesh, who is a father-in-law of his elder brother, so that is not a relative. Now the FMV does not need in case of house property, we need stamp duty value. At least it should be more than 50,000. So if because it's less than 50,000, then it could not be taxable. Okay, so the correct answer is of course D. Okay. Next is Mr. Sudeep gives following details for previous year 24-25 on 7/12/23. Sudeep purchased a second-hand car for rupees 70,000 from D. The market value, the fair market value was 3 lakh rupees. So you have to find it out what amount is going to be taxable or why not. So let's see. Okay, Gayatri is there to give the answer. Gayatri, please go ahead.
So the answer will be nil because the specific asset are not included.
Well done. Of course, the first thing I have told you in the starting of this class also when we were discussing the format, that please first of all, whenever there is an income from other source question, kindly find it out that whether this asset is included in the specified asset category or not. That is the first instance we have to check it out, because that is car, then all other information is irrelevant. We can give the answer nil, none, whatever it there is. Well done. The correct answer is D. Mr. Sudeep gives following detail for previous year 24-25. Now we have two assets together. Okay, so you have to give the answer considering these both provision, both transaction. On 14/12/23, Sudeep purchased a work of art for 5 lakh rupees from E. The market value was 5,30,000. On 20/12/23, Sudeep purchased jewelry for 7 lakh from Mr. E, the market value of 7,25,000. So now give me the correct answer and kindly raise hand before, and please read the question properly. Ritika has raised her hand. Anyone else also? Take your time. Take your time. Read the question carefully, recall the provision, and then only start answering. So, Ritika and Pooja having competition. So this time, okay, Ritika, you answer first.
55,000 because it is a movable property, so we aggregate the amount which is exceeding 50,000.
Correct. So exactly, very well done. In this case, if you will see, then from this first transaction, we have the value 30,000. The difference is 30,000, which cannot be taxable because it is not exceeding 50,000. But the other transaction also have the value of 25,000. So the aggregate is 55,000. And now because it's exceeding 50,000, so this is going to be taxable, as option number A will be the correct answer. Very well done. Next is Mr. Sudeep gives following detail for previous year.
Why only Ritika is answering? There are many students, Bhumika, Jayalakshmi, Jeel, Kiran.
They are only raising hand.
Many students are there. Don't you want to pass? Participate in these questions, na?
In query session, they are sending answers, but in this hour, only Ritika, Pooja, and I guess Shadab, 3 or 4 students is just giving the answer.
Okay. So whoever is giving the query session, na, name their name also.
Okay.
Let them know that they are answering correct or not. Everybody should be aware of.
Okay.
Let's take their name also. Or please, all of you, please participate. Not only Ritika and Pooja and Gayatri. There are many students, please participate.
Okay, so next question is, it says, on 21st December 23, Sudeep purchased a painting for 4 lakh rupees from G, who is brother of Mrs. Sudeep. Market value is 7 lakh rupees. So, Sayanto Sen raised his hand. So, please proceed, read the question properly and kindly answer that. Yes, Sayanto.
Yes, sir. So I think it would be nil because purchase of painting is not treated. It's basically an inadequate consideration, so I don't think so. It will be treated as a
Okay.
as a
Look, it's important to give the answer. Rights and wrong will be a different thing. Now, but if you are watching this class, if you are in the session, every one of you, I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about everyone. If you are the part of this session, kindly do participate in this because it is an interactive section. BOS, ICAI doing a lot of hard work for this kind of classes to use. So the answer is not correct, but does not matter. Even if you tried, definitely that is more important than the correct answer. So you will understand the mistakes because if you will understand your mistake, you will not going to do that mistake in the examination. Sushmita wants to answer. Yes, Sushmita, go ahead.
So answer is 3 lakh as the difference of FMV and consideration is greater than 50,000 and
Okay.
brother of Mr. Sudeep is also a relative of Mr. Sudeep.
So your answer is 3 lakh.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, not a problem. Okay.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Whether Shushmita is right?
No. The answer, we do not.
Yeah, let them answer.
Ritika,
Answer.
Ritika, you want to answer?
The answer is nil because it is purchased from his brother.
Brother-in-law of Mrs. Sudeep. Mrs. Sudeep, okay. So the answer is nil because asset is, of course, painting does fall in the specified definition. We have included definition of drawing and paintings over there. Okay, so the asset has been included. The difference also satisfied the taxability condition, but it has been received from Mrs. Sudeep brother. That means your brother-in-law. So the spouse, brother, or sister has been included in the definition of relative. And because that is the definition of relative has been included, so this cannot be taxable because the income from other source provision does not applicable in case of relative. Okay. So whenever we do mistake, we always learn from it. So those who has given the wrong answer, I believe now you will not repeat this mistake in the examination. This is a learning for your lifetime. So whenever you give a wrong answer, then that means that in the examination or in the next question, you are not going to give wrong answer ever. So please, I have told you, apply the provision one by one. So asset definition has been fulfilled. Taxability value more than 50,000 fulfilled. But now because the information is given clearly, who is a brother of Mrs. Sudeep. So you have to understand that question wants to make you understand something. Question is technically giving you the information that you are not doing anything with me. Why? Information is also there. It does not mean that every information needs to do something. But if there is an information, at least read it, give that importance, and then you can go further. Santanu wants to say something?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please go ahead.
So thank you, sir. So like when we are presenting the answer, so like we will be writing it is nil and shall we mention like it is like a gift from the relative which is actually exempted from the Income Tax Act 1961 under the section 56 subsection 2 like that, sir?
No, Santa, these are MCQs based
Hello,
questions,
ma'am.
and for MCQ based question, no reasoning is required, right?
Okay,
But
okay.
if the same question is being asked as a descriptive question, then definitely you have to, substantiate it with the correct provision of law. But in MCQs, no reasoning is required.
How you
Okay.
will give
Students really see these sessions are we are conducting this session just only for you. Here you are learning the things. It is not a that you do not know. You need some clarification and you want to understand certain things. You definitely come forward and ask. When you give answers, then we will also come to know that where are you lacking, right? So practice, practice, practice. As always sir keeps on saying to you that you need a lot of practice. So these are the platforms now where you please come forward and answer. Or other query, other than these questions, whatever your queries, rating, doubts and anything now, especially we have given you half our time. There you raise. But यहाँ पे since we are technically discussing the things, asking the question rating based on the provisions, kindly restrict your queries to the provisions right now. Okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Okay, so
please, sir, please.
Yes. So to whomsoever those are sending answer on the query link, kindly mention the question number for which you are giving the answer. Some students is just writing on the option B, A, D. How would I come to know that which question answer you are giving? So I cannot tell you that you are giving the correct answer or incorrect. So some student is just reading the, just writing the option. Kindly read it like 19 question option A, 19B or 21 A, B, C, D with the question query. So I will tell you that your answer is correct or incorrect. Okay. So like
reasoning, we are asking reasoning here because we want to know how you are arriving at the answers.
Correct.
Right? But this reasoning will not be asked in your examination. Here we want to know that how we are arriving, how we are applying the provision. Since there is the 70% is a descriptive paper, there you have to definitely, substantiate your answer with the proper provisions. Right? So that's why we asking you for the reasons.
Okay. Next is Mr. Sudeep gives following detail for previous year 24-25. On 24 December 23, Sudeep purchased a commercial property for 20 lakh. From which the stamp duty value has been given 90 lakh rupees. So let's see. Okay, Shadab. Okay, Kiran Mishra wants to answer. Kiran, please answer this.
Yes, sir. Sir, 70 lakh.
Kyun? Why?
Sir, because he purchased a commercial property and in inadequate consideration.
Good.
For 70 lakh, the difference is 70 lakh. and it is
Correct.
greater than 50,000.
Very good. Well done. Well done. Look, exactly. Your answer should be arrived like in this processing. Like, first of all, it is a commercial property, so immovable property provision will be applicable. Very well done. Second, that is a inadequate consideration case, not a without consideration case. Third is there is no relative etc. problem, no exemption like that, and the difference is exceeding 50,000 etc. So in that situation, of course, all these condition has been fulfilled. So the difference is going to be taxable as income from others. So that would have been, sorry, 70 lakh rupees. So that option is the correct answer. So Shambhavi says A option. Very correct. Pooja is giving the A option. Well done. Pratima is saying A option. Well done. Next is Mr. Sudeep gives following detail for assessment year 24-25 on 25th December 23. Sudeep gets gift of 100 preference shares in A Limited from J. Stock exchange price is 45 rupees each. So what is the treatment of this information in the hands of Mr. Sudeep for income from other source? So let's see. Ritika, Pooja, anyone else? Okay, Gayatri also there. Oh, Gayatri, go ahead. What should be the correct
First
answer?
of all, it is movable asset, age specific asset it is coming. It is for consideration, given for consideration. There is less than 50,000, so the answer will be nil.
What is your correct option? I'm not going to, your voice is not.
B, option B, sir.
Option B. And why option B?
Yes. It is less than 50,000. The consideration is less than 50,000.
Correct, correct. Now, first of all, of course, when you have read the question, we find it out that it's shares. So shares forms part of those specified asset. Correct, well done. Then we have seen that the value is only 4,500 only rupees. And of course, that is less than 50,000. So of course, there is nothing going to be taxable, and it is a case of without consideration also. Well done. So Pooja also gave the correct answer B. Pratima also. Pratima, you are wrong. You are saying 45,000. That is a wrong answer because it could not be 45,000 in any way. You might have multiplied with the wrong value, but still it is less than 50,000. So it could not be taxable in that case also. Okay. Sangeeta Vani 21. B option is correct. Nil, well done. And Priya is also saying B, well done. Next is Mr. Sudeep gives following details for previous year 24-25. On 25th of January 24, Sudeep gets a gift check of 1 lakh from his friend L on his birthday. On 28th January 24, minor son of Sudeep. Look, please do not do hurry in giving the answer of this question. It's a very beautiful question. Read it properly, recall the provision, and then only try to answer it. Okay, Sudeep gets a gift check of 55,000 rupees from elder brother of Sudeep's grandfather. So what amount is going to be taxable in the hands of Mr. Sudeep in income from other source from these above transaction? Ritika, you want to answer so early? You have read the question properly. Let me see who else want to answer. Seanto Sen wants to answer. Kiran Mishra. Ritika. Okay, Kiran, you go ahead. What is the answer and with the reason, please? Okay.
Sir, 1 lakh rupees is the answer
1 lakh rupees is the answer. Okay.
because he received from his friend and not from his relative
Okay. And what is the
and
second
on
transaction?
birthday.
And what is the treatment of second transaction which has been given?
Sir, this transaction is not taxable in the hands of Sudeep
Okay. Why?
because minor son of Sudeep, he is a son of Sudeep.
Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Ritika and three more. Okay. Santanu Sen, you answer, then Ritika, you will answer. Okay. Santanu Sen, first of all, you proceed.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, the correct answer will be 1 lakh rupees, sir. Number one, sir, because in the second part, as we can see, sir, the gift received from a minor son, sir, it will be exempted under section 10 and subsection 32. So 1 lakh rupees, the gift check that Sudeep gets on his birthday from his friend, and the relative is not coming to the section. Means relative is not coming to this context. So thus 1 lakh rupees uh, will be
Your option
taxed.
answer is D. D.
D, sir. Yes, sir. D. 1 lakh rupees.
Okay. Shadab, you want no. Before Shadab, Ritika, you proceed.
Sir, answer is A because in second one, it is from elder brother of Sudeep's grandfather, which is not coming in the definition of relative. And the minor son's income will also be taxable in the hand of parents only.
Okay. Who is left? Okay. Shadab, you want to answer?
Yes, sir. My answer is also A. It should be
Okay.
1,55,000.
Okay, let me tell you, now
You are
all answers
missing
are wrong.
something. You
All
are
answers
missing something.
You have to read the question properly. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Now, this is the CA examination. It's not that simple as you think. I have actually done what from MCQ number 15 till 22. Technically, that was a single question, like 8 marks question. I have bifurcated each point separately to discuss with you each and individual point separately. So you are missing something. Till now, there is no correct answer I have
Sir,
received.
I
Other,
want to answer.
see, other than your other sources, you have to, just remember one more provision.
I want to give answer.
Pooja, you want to answer?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please.
Sir, one C answer I guess answer.
क्यों? Why?
सर बिकॉज माइनर सन के मतलब माइनर के केस में 1500 का मतलब डिडक्शन मिलता है.
Exactly. Correct. Look,
बाकी सभी प्रोविजन जो सभी बताया है.
well done, well done, well done. The correct answer is C. Option C is the correct answer. Why? Because suppose, understand the question. If the question include minor son, then you should also try to remember the provision regarding minor. In case of minor, the income which has not been earned by the minor via physical or his or her talent, that is going to be clubbed. So all the income other than physical work or her talent, etc., is going to be clubbed. Or in case of handicapped child, that's a separate provision, clubbing provision. So in that situation, this 55,000 is going to be taxable in the hands of Mr. Sudeep, first case. This is not in the definition of relative, so that is going to be taxable, and we have an exemption of amount clubbed or 1500 rupees, whichever is lower. That exemption you can claim from the income of a minor, which is going to be included in the hands of his parents. So out of this 55,000, 1500 rupees we can claim as an exemption. So the taxable value in the hands of Sudeep is 53,500 plus the 1 lakh rupees as a monetary payment what he is receiving. So technically it will be 1,53,500 rupees. So whenever there is an information in the question and you think if it is easy, so please recheck it once again. So when minor son information has been given, you have to think about once again the provision. And somebody of you was saying answer is 1,55,000 because they reach that point that this income should be clubbed. Till that point you have reached. But the problem is that you just forget one important provision also. That is the exemption which has been provided in case of minor income clubbed. The most difficult part, you know what? In case of MCQs, we generally think MCQs are easy. But let me tell you a very interesting thing about MCQs. If there is any provision having 6 points, and if out of this provision, a descriptive question has been asked, a theoretical question that you have to write all these 6 points in the answer, and you only remembered 5 points out of these 6 points. So if it is a descriptive question, even you will get the marks for those 5 points you are going to write. But suppose if an MCQ has been framed from this provision and they ask only that point MCQ in the question which you have not remembered. You have remembered 5 points, but you just forgot 1 point. And the MCQ has been asked from that point. Then what will happen? Those 5 points which have been learned by you, which you still remembered, have no use because the question has been asked from that only 1 point, which you even forgot or you have just skipped or you did not learn. You thought 5 is enough. So MCQ is dangerous when it is like this provision. So if any one of you learned all the provision of clubbing of minor child, that we all know clubbing of minor child, all provisions. But if you are not recall that exemption of 1500 rupees, then that concept is no use if the question has been asked in case of an MCQ from that point. So please take MCQ seriously. Some students think it's just an marking option. I will do it, I will solve it. But it's not that simple. And in case of MCQ, it's very important to read the question properly. Because examiner will do something in that kind of scenario. The question could be tricky. So please be focused when you read a question of MCQ. And I hope I will told you that from question number 15 till 22. That was a part of single question, which I have been separated into multiple points. So we can discuss each and every point separately. But suppose if this kind of question has been asked in the examination in combined. So the format I have discussed with you in the starting of this class today, we could solve that question in that way also. Let me show you how. So those 15 till 22 question was the part of this question, what we have discussed. So if that 15 till 22 points have been asked in a single question frame, then these are going to be asked like this. So this is a complete question of that Mr. Sudeep we have discussed. And if we are going to solve this question in a single part, then of course you have to understand the format what we have discussed today in the starting of this lecture. You have to follow that. You have to bifurcate the monetary part separately, the non-monetary part separately, as I have done in this case. We have solved, because that is the format, we have solved in an Excel format. So I have taken first point like immovable property without consideration separately. If we'll try to solve it, let me help you. This is the format we discussed in the morning. Clear? So if we try to solve that question in this format, then in the examination, you have to follow it like this. That was a question. I'm just giving an overview how to solve that question in this way. Monetary part separate, non-monetary separate. I'm not going to solve that question. I'm just going to put the value of which has been given in the question. And you will surprise that whenever you will put those value in the question, you will get your answer almost. Clear? So non-monetary, we have to bifurcate like immovable property. And we have specified movable property. We have without consideration cases. We have inadequate consideration cases. And same in this case, without consideration inadequate consideration. Now we'll read information one by one and then we will be able to solve it. So first information says that on 1st 12/23 he gets a gift of house A from his friend Kishore. The stamp value was 6 lakh rupees. So what do I need to do? That is without consideration case, 6 lakh rupees value. We have to put that value over here. Clear? Then the second information, on 3/12/23 he gets gift of house B from Ramesh, who is father-in-law of his elder brother. But because stamp duty value is only 40,000, so that is not going to be taxable. So, and that was the case of course, without consideration, and we have to show it. That is not going to be taxable. That was first point. This is second point. Non-taxable. In working note, you can show that second point is non-taxable because it's less than 50,000. I can show over here. Then again, exactly you can solve this. Okay. Now the third point says on 7/12/23, Sudeep purchased a second-hand car for 70,000 from D. Now because that is not an asset, so we do not need to show in that specific category of the movable asset. But so we will skip that because that is not an asset as per the definition to be included in that specified category of asset. So point number third, we need not to show. In the working note, you can write it down. It's a car which has not been included, so there is no treatment of it under income from other source. Then on 14th 12/23, Sudeep purchased a work of art for 5 lakh from E. The market value is 5,30,000. So difference is 30,000. We will write it down. That was point number 4. Movable, and that will form in inadequate consideration point. That is 30,000. Point number 4. Again, in that below of that point number 5 has been given. What we have discussed. In that case, the jewelry has been received, and the difference is 25,000. That is also inadequate consideration in case of movable property. You will see how easy to solve these kind of huge question, which is from gift provision, if you follow this format, because at the end you will have everything. You have non-monetary without consideration total, you have non-monetary inadequate consideration total, and that is also immobile property separate and movable property separate. You will have monetary payment separate also. So anything can be asked by the examiner. Out what is the monetary value, what is non-monetary, without consideration, inadequate consideration, etc. So point number 4 and 5 we have discussed. That was a work of art, and that is jewelry. Now point number 6. Sudeep purchased a painting of 4 lakh from G, who is brother of Mrs. Sudeep. And now asset has been specified. The value is greater, but it has been received from relative. So we have to show the point number 6 in our solution also. And that has been received for 4 lakh. So that is an inadequate case. Point number 6, no taxability because relative. Next point. Point number 7. Sudeep purchased a commercial property 20 lakh from H. Stamp duty value is 90 lakh. So 70 lakh be taxed, and that is an immovable property, and it is a case of without consideration or inadequate consideration. That is a case of inadequate consideration. We have discussed all these points. And why I have discussed these points separately, because if we solve this question like this before, so we would not be able to solve each point. We will not be able to discuss each point, might be the way we discussed in the MCQ part. So you must have get a knowledge of each and every point clearly. Now point number 7, the taxability is 90 lakh, and that is an inadequate consideration case. So moving on to this, where is my immutable property in education consideration case? This is over here. And 70 lakh is going to be taxable over. Point number 8 we will discuss. So they get gifts of 100 preference shares in A Limited from J. That is without consideration case. We need to show because that is a specified asset, but the value is less than 50,000. That is only 4,500. But we have to show that point number 8. And that is without consideration, point number 8. Next is point number 9. Sudeep gets a gift check of 1 lakh from his friend L on his birthday. So we will show it in a monetary value part of our solution. That is point number 9. When we will put all the values where it should be, we will get our answer of each and everything automatically. Now point number 10. Minor son of Sudeep gets a gift check of 55,000. So out of that 53,500 we are going to taxable as income from other source. That is point number 10. That was 55,000. That is clubbing exemption. So we will have 53,500. The last point has been given for PPA, that's for deduction purpose. So now we have the answer of all points. Like if examiner wants to know what is the monetary payment taxable, I have my answer 1,53,500 income from other source. If they're asking what is the immutable property without consideration taxable value, my answer is 6 lakh rupees. If they want to know what is inadequate consideration taxability of immutable property, I have my answer 70 lakh rupees. If they want to know what is the movable property without consideration taxability, my answer is nil because it's less than 50,000. If they want to know the inadequate consideration monetary value, non-monetary value, movable asset value, then because its total is now 55,000, it is exceeding 50,000. Now this is going to be taxable. So income from other source, aggregate taxability, we have monetary, non-monetary, immovable, movable, without consideration, inadequate consideration. We have all the answer. You can solve the question like this and you will understand that when at the end of the question, you will stop putting the value where they belongs. You will get the answer of each and everything automatically. Okay. So minor son means it is taxable. Yes, minor income is going to be taxable in the hands of parents. Of course, it's a chapter which is specifically has been framed for that. Section has been specified. You can go through the lectures. You will understand the answer. Okay. Okay, so the query has been taken. So now we can go for a break of 10 minutes and then we will resume with our RTP question and the query session. You can ask your question at that time. So Nisar, can we go for a small break? Nisar? Nisar, are you there? We call you. Nisarg? Break. 10-minute breaks, okay. Welcome back, everyone. I believe that you must have your tea, coffee, water, etc. to get your energy back. So, moving on to our provisions. Now we will discuss question from MTP, and there are very small question, or we can say very small provision regarding income from other source from MTP questions. Let me share this with you. So this is question number 4A. This is point number 2 we are going to discuss, because point number 1 has been already discussed in the income from house property, and point number 3 relates to the capital gain provision, set off of losses, etc. So income from other source connected with point number 2. So I will read it for you, and then I will ask if anybody of you wants to answer, then it's most welcome. Mr. Vishal holds, so we are reading this point, okay? This part we are reading. Mr. Vishal holds preference shares in Messrs. A Private Limited. He instructed the company to pay dividend to Miss Chandni, daughter of his servant. The transfer is irrevocable for the lifetime of Chandni. Dividend received by Ms. Chandni during the previous year is 2324 rupees 4,50,000. Now, technically, this point is, in my opinion, is not income from other source, but technically the clubbing provision is more included in this concept. So, any one of you, if want to answer, then please raise your hand. Then we can move on to the solution of this question. So, read the question properly, and then if any one of you want to answer, again, Ritika again wants to answer. Anyone else also? Let me tell you, this is much more involvement of clubbing provision in comparison to income from other source. Okay, Ritika wants to go. Ritika, please go ahead.
Sir, the income will be taxable in the hand of Ms. Chandni because it is irrevocable for the lifetime of the Chandni. So it will be clubbed in the hand of Ms. Chandni. It will not be clubbed in the hand of Mr. Vishal.
Okay. Anyone else? Ritika, Pooja, you want to answer? Please go ahead. Pooja or anyone else wants to answer? That is not the correct answer, Ritika, whatever you have given. Kiran Mishra wants to answer. Yes, Kiran.
Sir, 4,50,000 taxable in the hand of Mr. Vishal.
Okay, why?
Sir, I forget the provision.
How this is possible? Then how you are answering without, this is like you are saying you are driving a car without key. Why? Even when it's not a keyless car. So this is your answer is correct, but without the provision, if the examiner asks find out the taxability, then you
Sir,
can.
because it is his instruction.
So no. Look, we are actually reading the income tax provisions. Fine. So income tax is an act. And under the act, we cannot write it down like this is has been instruction. There must be some provision somewhere because of which you can give the answer like 4,50,000 is going to be taxable in the hands of Mr. Vishal, etc. Anything else. So without the correct provision,
Sir,
we cannot answer. Anyone else?
I want to give answer, sir.
Oh,
सर
yes.
इसमें प्रेफरेंस शेयर ट्रांसफर नहीं किया मिस्टर विशाल ने, लेकिन वो केवल डिविडेंड ट्रांसफर किया है सर, इसलिए ये मतलब मिस्टर विशाल के हाथ में टैक्सेबल होगा।
देखिए बिल्कुल सही बात है, ये बात अब सही है। एक्चुअली ये टैक्सेबल होगा मिस्टर विशाल के हाथ में, बिकॉज क्लबिंग में हमारे एक प्रोविजन है जो कहता है कि इफ ओनली इनकम हैज बीन ट्रांसफर्ड विदाउट ट्रांसफरिंग ऑफ द एसेट, मतलब अगर सिर्फ आपने कोई एसेट है उसकी सिर्फ इनकम ट्रांसफर कर दी है, एसेट के ओनर आप ही हैं, तो इन दैट केस वो इनकम भी आप ही की मानी जाएगी। लाइक if there is a house property in your name and you are transferring the rent of that house property in some other person, then in that situation, because asset is owned by you, so the income which is directly indirectly earned by any asset which is not transferred, then automatically that income will be treated as your income. So इस situation में, इस question में only dividend has been transferred, not the shares. So in that situation, the dividend will be treated as Mr. Vishal income, not in the hands of Miss Chandni. Okay. So the answer correct. Vishal paid tax first, then transfer in the hands of Vishal. Okay. So you can see the solution. Let's discuss the solution. Before that, we have fourth point also. Regarding this, in 4 point, we have interest from saving bank account 1,75,000, cash gift 75,000 received from daughter of his sister on his birthday, income from betting of rupees 25,000, income from card game 46,000, loss on maintenance of race horses 1,600. So kindly let me know, out of these information, what amount is going to be taxable under income from other source? So give me the total value. The total value out of this point number 4, how much is going to be taxable under income from other source? Do not apply the deduction part, etc. etc. Just tell me the income which should be included out of this information under income under the head income from other source. We have total 5 amounts over here. So how much amount is going to be taxable under these, out of these income? Kindly let me know. If anybody want to answer, kindly raise your hand. Okay, Pooja wants to answer. Before answering, please recall the provision of each point. Then only, I guess, you should go ahead for the answer. Ritika also raised her hand. Okay, so Ritika, you go ahead. Then I will ask from Pooja. Yes, Ritika, how much?
Interest from saving bank account will be taxed in income from IOS. Income from batting will also taxed. Cash gift from daughter of his sister on his birthday will also be taxed. And income from card gaming will also be taxed. And interest on from saving account will get deduction under 80 TTA, I think so.
And what is loss on maintenance of resources?
Losses on maintenance of horse races cannot be set off and carry forward. No. It will be set off and carry forward also.
Look, I was asking, just let me know the answer of income from other sources. Did not ask about the deduction also, so did not apply deduction, do not apply the provisions of losses of set of
Losses
provision.
on maintenance race horses will taxable under IOS because it is related to race horses. That is why it will be taxable on in the under the head of income from other sources.
Okay, correct answer, well done. Moving on to the answer that has been prescribed, you can see that we have the solution of this. Let me share the screen with you. That was question number 4A. So we have income from other source, that is the dividend part, what we have discussed, that dividend on preference shares. Why it's going to be taxable in the hands of Mr. Vishal? Because Section 60 says that transfer of only income. So if there is no transfer of asset, only transfer of income, that is going to be taxable in the hands of the person or in the hands of transferor. Interest from saving account is going to be taxable. Cash gift is going to be taxable. Income from betting is going to be taxable. Income from card game also going to be taxable. So my income from other source will be 7,71,000 rupees. Clear? Losses to be carried forward. Losses of maintenance of racehorse cannot be set off from any other head of income. It need to be set off from the same income. So that losses need to be carried forward for the future years, of course, to set off from the same activity of income. Now moving on to the second question. MTP second question we are discussing now. That is question number 2A. Very, very simple question. It's Mr. Sunil. Yes. So this is the part related to income from other source in this question. That is a question regarding the residential status. And Mrs. C.R. D'Souza is an American, got married to Mr. Kabir so and so. That is the part on residential status. Then this information is for to calculate income from other source. And there are two transactions which has been done by Mrs. C.R. D'Souza. And you need to tell me how much of out of these two transactions is going to be taxable under income from other source. So transactions are, while in India during the previous year 23-24, she had received a gold chain. Now, whatever is the status of Mrs. C.R. D'Souza, whether she is a resident, non-resident, ordinary, does not matter because that has been received in India. So whatever has been received in India is going to be taxable for all category of resident, non-resident, etc. So do not bother about the status of Mrs. C.R. D'Souza. You have to find out the solution on the basis of this information. That she had received a gold chain from her in-laws worth rupees 1,50,000. So you need to tell me what is the treatment of this 1,50,000, and the second is 1,65,000 from very close friend of her husband. So we have two transactions regarding of which we have to understand the provision and we have to know that is this needs to be taxable or exempted, etc. So let's see who wants to answer. Pooja again raise her hand. Anyone else? Okay. Shadab also there. Shadab Ali, please go ahead.
So here 1,50,000 will be exempt and 1,65,000 will be taxable because in-laws are also included in relatives.
Correct. Well done. Well done. Of course, because 1,50,000 has been received from her in-laws, and that is of course fall in the definition of relatives. So that 1,50,000 is going to be exempted, not going to be taxable as per the exemption we have. And 1,65,000 from very close friend or friend does not matter because they do not fall in the definition of relative. So we have gold chain which fall in the specified category of asset, movable asset of course, and we have money exceeding 50,000 and that is not from relatives. So because these three conditions applicable, so 1,65,000 is going to be as income from other source from this question part. Clear? So we have discussed the RTP question, MTP question also. In RTP, there is no such question regarding income from other source. So now the query session is begun. If you want to ask anything regarding income from other source topic, you can ask. पूजा wants to ask something. Yes, पूजा बोलिए.
सर मुझे ना जो सेक्शन 27 है जिसके अंदर माइनर मैरिड डॉटर की इनकम जो है वो मतलब डीम्ड इनकम मानी जाती है पेरेंट्स के लिए, देन सर उसके बाद वो उसमें 1500 लेस पेरेंट्स, मतलब फिर उसके बाद में क्लबिंग का प्रोविजन भी उसमें होता है, ये थोड़ा एक बार समझा दीजिए सर. मतलब ये
सेक्शन 27 डीम्ड डोनर के बारे में बात करता है. ठीक है. डीम्ड डोनर कहता है वो वाले केसेस जिसमें हाउस प्रॉपर्टी या बिल्डिंग आपके नाम में रजिस्टर्ड नहीं है, रजिस्ट्री आपके नाम में नहीं है, फिर भी आपको ओनर माना जाएगा. ठीक है. रजिस्ट्री किसी और के नाम में है तो उसमें प्रोविजन है स्पाउस के नाम में अगर आपने रजिस्ट्री करा दी विदाउट कंसिडरेशन विदाउट डिवोर्स तो आप ही को डीम्ड ओनर मान लिया जाएगा. अब वहां एक वर्ड आता है ट्रांसफर टू माइनर चाइल्ड. तो अगर आपने कोई भी प्रॉपर्टी माइनर चाइल्ड को ट्रांसफर कर दी है तो उस केस में आपको डीम्ड ओनर माना जाएगा एक्सेप्ट इन केस ऑफ माइनर मैरिड डॉटर. अगर किसी घर को आपने ट्रांसफर किया है अपने माइनर चाइल्ड को और वो माइनर चाइल्ड कौन है, माइनर मैरिड डॉटर, तो वही उस घर की क्या मानी जाएगी, ओनर और डीम्ड ओनर. आप उसके ओनर डीम्ड ओनर नहीं माने जाएंगे. अब वो जो भी रेंटल इनकम उसको मिलेगी, अब बिकॉज शी इज माइनर तो टैक्स वो तो नहीं दे सकते, टैक्स देना लाइबिलिटी उनकी है, बट उसकी डीम्ड असेसी किसी ना किसी को तो बनना पड़ेगा. तो माइट बी अगर उनका हस्बैंड मेजर है तो हस्बैंड उनके बिहाफ पर रिटर्न या टैक्स फाइल करेगा, और अगर हस्बैंड नहीं है तो उनका जो भी गार्जियन बनेगा उस पार्ट पर माय फादर इन लॉ एक्सेट्रा उनको उसके बिहाफ पे टैक्स जमा कराना पड़ेगा. बट जो ट्रांसफरर हैं जिन्होंने प्रॉपर्टीज के नाम पे ट्रांसफर की है उन्हें डीम्ड ओनर नहीं माना जाएगा. तो डीम्ड ओनर ओनर माइनर मैरिड डॉटर ही मानी जाएगी, बट बिकॉज वो माइनर है तो उसकी इनकम किसी ना किसी के हैंड में तो क्लब करनी पड़ेगी, वेदर इन द हैंड्स ऑफ पेरेंट्स और डिपेंड अपॉन द गार्जियन इफ देयर इज नो पेरेंट एग्जिस्ट.
मीन सर कि जो उसके पेरेंट्स है उसी के हाथ में 1500 इसमें 1500 लेस नहीं होगा या होगा?
नहीं, अगर माइनर की कोई भी इनकम क्लब होके आती है, क्लबिंग प्रोविजन ये कहता है अगर कोई इनकम क्लब हुई तो वो किसी भी तरह की इनकम हो अगर क्लब होती है तो उसमें आप 1500 रुपए की एग्जेम्पशन ले सकते हैं, बिकॉज वो क्लबिंग के थ्रू आनी चाहिए, तो उसमें एग्जेम्पशन आप क्लेम कर सकते हैं. अगर मान लीजिए वो माइनर मैरिड डॉटर नहीं होकर माइनर सन होता है, उसको आप अपनी प्रॉपर्टी ट्रांसफर करते हैं तो उसमें वो प्रॉपर्टी के डीम्ड ओनर आप ही माने जाएंगे. उसमें घर भी आपका है, उसमें क्लबिंग का प्रोविजन नहीं लगता क्योंकि उसमें क्लबिंग का कंसेप्ट ही नहीं है, बिकॉज आप ही घर के मालिक हैं, उसमें एग्जेम्पशन नहीं आएगी. लेकिन जब भी कोई इनकम क्लब होकर आएगी जो माइनर मैरिड डॉटर के केस में आने के चांसेस हैं, और वो माइनर मैरिड डॉटर की डेफिनेशन में है तो ओनर वो है, लेकिन उसका रेंट अगर आपके एंड में क्लब हुआ तो ऐसा केस अप्लाई किया जाएगा, तब क्लबिंग का बेनिफिट और एग्जेम्पशन मिलेगी.
सर मुझे इसमें ये भी जानना है कि जैसे माइनर मैरिड डॉटर है तो पेरेंट्स के हाथ में, मतलब उसी के पेरेंट्स के हाथ में होगी या इन लोगों के हाथ में क्लब होगी फिर ये इनकम?
नहीं, देखिए अगर वो माइनर है तो उसके पेरेंट्स के एंड में क्लब होगी. अगर पेरेंट्स एग्जिस्ट ही नहीं करते हैं, है ही नहीं, तो फिर उसका हस्बैंड अगर है जो भी उसकी फैमिली में एज अ गार्जियन जाएंगे उनके हैंड में क्लबिंग करी जाएगी. अब ये क्वेश्चन क्लबिंग प्रोविजन का है, क्लबिंग की शायद अभी क्लास आपकी होगी तो उसमें आप उसे डिटेल से डिस्कस कीजिए. अदर सोर्स में इसका कंसेप्ट एप्लीकेबल नहीं हो रहा. हम चाहते हैं कि अदर सोर्स की क्वेरी जो बच्चों की है वो अभी पूरी हो जाए. एनीवन, रितिका यू वांट टू आस्क समथिंग?
सर मेरा एक क्वेश्चन है, जैसे कि हम मतलब बायफरकेट करते हैं मॉनेटरी और नॉन मॉनेटरी, तो नॉन मॉनेटरी में जो हम लोग मूवेबल को बायफरकेट किए विदाउट कंसिडरेशन और इनएडिक्वेट में, तो हम लोग जो 50,000 एक्सीड करेगा वो दोनों को मिला के एक्सीड करेगा इंडिविजुअल? जैसे कि अभी मेरे फ्रेंड ने मुझे गिफ्ट दिया है 48,000 का, तो फिर वो विदाउट कंसिडरेशन हो गया. और इनएडिक्वेट कंसिडरेशन जैसे कि अभी मेरे किसी फ्रेंड ने से मैंने कुछ शेयर्स वगैरह खरीदे है जो कि इनएडिक्वेट कंसिडरेशन में, और वो 48,000 है, तो 48,000 है और वो कुछ 3,000 हो गया, तो दोनों को मिला के 50,000 एक्सीड करना चाहिए या फिर इंडिविजुअल
अलग अलग
इंडिविजुअल?
इंडिविजुअली करना है हमको. इसीलिए वो फॉर्मेट मैंने आपको बनवाया है, बिकॉज अगर हम इस क्वेश्चन को उस डायग्राम के बजाय कंबाइंड सॉल्व करेंगे तो माइट भी हम गलती से क्या कर देंगे कि जो विदाउट कंसिडरेशन की वैल्यू आ रही है मान लीजिए 40,000 और इनएडिक्वेट की आ रही है 15,000, तो माइट भी क्लब करके हम उसे टैक्सेबल कर देंगे 55. बट एक्ट डज नॉट नीड दैट. एक्ट सेज दैट वी हैव टू कैलकुलेट दीज प्रोविजन सेपरेटली. Even in case of immovable property also, we have to do that without consideration separate, inadequate separate. In the same case for movable asset, we have to solve separately. So अगर separately उनकी value 50 से ऊपर जाती है, then you need to taxable. Like हमने भी example एक solve किया, आपने ध्यान नहीं दिया. जो अभी सुदीप सर वाला हमने एक डिटेल एग्जांपल सॉल्व किया है, उसमें आपने देखा शेयर्स की वैल्यू थी 4500 विदाउट कंसिडरेशन में, और इनएडुकेट की आ गई थी हमारी 55,000. तो हमने उस 4500 को टैक्सेबल नहीं करा, हमने उसको क्या माना है, एग्जेम्प्ट, बिकॉज विदाउट कंसिडरेशन में सिर्फ वही रह गई है, ओनली 4500. सो दैट कैन नॉट बी क्लब्ड विद द इनएडुकेट कंसिडरेशन वैल्यू. क्लियर?
आंसर एक और क्वेश्चन है जिससे आपने एक एमसीक्यू में करवाया था, वो प्राइवेट लिमिटेड और पब्लिक रिलेटेड वाला, जिसमें फेयर वैल्यू और जो शेयर्स की फेस वैल्यू वाला है, वो एक बार वापस से एमसीक्यू एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए.
एमसीक्यू नंबर पता है आपको? मैं ढूंढूं या फिर
15 और 14 के पास तक कुछ.
चलो चेक कर. ये है ना, ठीक है. अच्छा, इसमें क्या कंफ्यूजन है बताओ मेरे को. देखो, ये जो प्रोविजन है ना अदर सोर्स का, ये कहता है अगर कोई क्लोजली हेल्ड कंपनी है, क्लोजली हेल्ड कंपनी, जनरली प्राइवेट कंपनीज को हम क्लोजली हेल्ड कंपनी मान लेते हैं, अगर क्वेश्चन में स्पेसिफिकली नहीं मना करता, से अग्नि प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, तो हमने मान लिया है दैट इज अ क्लोजली हेल्ड कंपनी, एज्यूम है इस क्वेश्चन में, आपको माना भी जाता है जनरली. तो अग्नि प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, अगर कोई भी क्लोजली हेल्ड कंपनी अपने शेयर मार्केट में इश्यू करती है प्रीमियम पर, ठीक है, और वो जिस प्राइस पे इशू कर रही है प्रीमियम पर, वो मार्केट वैल्यू से ज्यादा है. फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर मार्केट वैल्यू है मान लीजिए 50 रुपीज, और हम इशू करते हैं, इशू प्राइस है हमारा 60, तो जो 20 रुपीज एक्स्ट्रा यू आर चार्जिंग, दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज योर इनकम फ्रॉम अदर सोर्सेस. अगर यही पब्लिक लिमिटेड होती या फिर एक क्लोजली हेल्ड कंपनी नहीं होती, तो ये अदर सोर्स का प्रोविजन एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता है. उसका रीजन है, प्राइवेटली जो कंपनी होती हैं, जो प्राइवेट लिमिटेड है, वो घर वाले लोग ही सारे उसमें जनरली शेयर होल्डर डायरेक्टर होते हैं. तो वो अपने पैसे को फ्लक्चुएट करने के लिए ड्यू टू सम रीजन वो प्राइसेस को किसी भी प्राइस पे मार्केट में इश्यू कर सकते हैं. सो उस प्रैक्टिस को रोकने के लिए ये रूल बनाया कि अगर आप ज्यादा पे चार्ज करेंगे मार्केट वैल्यू पर, तो दैट विल बी ट्रीटेड एज योर इनकम, और उस पर आपको टैक्स देना पड़ेगा. जो नॉर्मल रेट ऑफ टैक्स होती है 25%, 22% कंपनी वाली, दैट इज गोइंग टू बी चार्जेबल. Next. Any more query?
सर, अगर पब्लिक लिमिटेड कंपनी अगर ज्यादा पे इश्यू करती आईओएस के अंदर, मतलब टैक्सेबल होता है, और वही प्राइवेट लिमिटेड के केस में टैक्सेबल नहीं होता.
ना, उल्टा कर दिया आपने, उल्टा. पब्लिक लिमिटेड के केस में टैक्सेबल नहीं. दिस इज अग्नि प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, जो हमारा एग्जांपल है ना, वो अग्नि प्राइवेट लिमिटेड है, पी लिमिटेड. पब्लिक लिमिटेड में पी नहीं लिखा होता, वो लिखा होगा अग्नि लिमिटेड. पी वर्ड का मतलब है प्राइवेट, पी पब्लिक को डिनोट नहीं करता. अगर कोई पब्लिक लिमिटेड है, उसमें सिर्फ लिमिटेड होगा, प्राइवेट वर्ड की जरूरत नहीं होती है. तो ये प्रोविजन सिर्फ प्राइवेट लिमिटेड पर एप्लीकेबल है. प्राइवेट लिमिटेड ने मार्केट वैल्यू से ज्यादा पर बेचे तो अदर सोर्स है, पब्लिक लिमिटेड पर ये प्रोविजन एप्लीकेबल नहीं होता.
ओके.
नेक्स्ट क्वेरी, एनीवन? ओके, एक बच्चा है चित, नाम मुझे समझ नहीं आ रहा, Sit Kalam. Okay, asking sir, in question 5 of MCQ, it is given stock in trade, but why we are taking, sir? देखो, ऐसा है, in case of income from other sources, I have told you that if the receiver point we have to check from the point of view of receiver. So if receiver receiving any asset as a stock in trade for himself, in that case other source provision will not be applicable. In MCQ number 5, you can see we have multiple MCQ like that, 3, 4, 5, all are this like ABC. So you can see in MCQ number 3, MCQ number 4, MCQ number 5, ABC transferred a residential house. So the transferor is transferring house held as stock in trade. So it does not matter that whether the asset has been transferred by the transferor as a stock in trade for him or a capital asset. The important thing is transferee, the person who is receiving it. So if any asset has been received by receiver or transferee as asset, then only other source provision will be applicable. But if he or she receiving it as a stock in trade, then other source provision will not be applicable.
Thank you, sir.
We have an example also for this in the illustration. Let me show you that. That might give you an idea. So these notes have been uploaded on the portal. In this, we have an illustration, a very beautiful illustration regarding that, in which it has been clearly identified that if you are receiving anything as stock in trade, then in that case, income from other source provision would not be applicable. Let me discuss with provision. Look, over here, you can see the page number 15, applicability of section 56 to 10. The provision of section 56 to 10 would apply only to property which is the nature of a capital asset of the recipient and not stock in trade. So we have to look from the point of view of recipient. So if you are receiving any property which is your stock in trade part, or which is going to become stock in trade part of your business, then these provision would not be applicable. We have a numerical also regarding this, in which it has been specifically asked. Here is illustration. This illustration. That Mr. A dealer in share, received the following without consideration during the previous year from his friend. So now you can see Mr. is a dealer in share. So what is his business? He's dealing in shares. He received cash gift. Okay, we have the provision regarding that. He received the bullion. We have the provision regarding that. He received a plot of land, not an issue. Now you can see this information. Mr. A purchased from his friend Mr. C, who is also a dealer in share, 1000 shares of X Limited at 400 rupees each. On 19th June 23, the fair market value, which was 600 each on that date. Mr. A sold these shares in the course of his business on 23rd of June 23. Now you can see, because the recipient was a dealer in share as given in the question, and this cash is not stock, bullion not a stock, plot, but he also purchased shares at inadequate consideration. 600 rupees share he purchased for 400 rupees. So there is 200 rupees inadequate consideration. Shares are also specified asset, not received from relative, but the problem is this, because he also deals in the shares. So these provisions of receiving share would not be applicable under income from other source. So you can see difference of 2 lakh rupees in the value of shares of X Limited is non-taxable because it represents the stock in trade of Mr. A. Who is Mr. A? Mr. A is the recipient. A is a dealer in share, and it has been mentioned that the shares were subsequently sold in the course of the business. The share represents the stock in trade of Mr. A. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Any more query? Notes of salary only uploaded on app. Okay. Any more query? Anyone want to ask? For the Satish raised hand. Okay, Satish, go ahead.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Please, sir, in May 2024 question paper, question 3A1, I doubt about that question, sir. That is,
test your knowledge.
no, sir, no, sir. May 2024 exam, taxation paper.
We do not have that question paper. We can discuss the MTP question. We can discuss the illustration of study material. We can discuss the test knowledge question. So that question I do not have, and May 2024 answer, until we do not receive that suggested answer, we cannot comment on those questions.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay, thank you, sir.
Welcome. Anyone else? Okay, for the purpose, okay, Satish, again raise your hand. Yes, please.
Sir, I didn't raise an hand, sir. I
Okay.
didn't raise the hand. Okay, sir.
Okay, no problem. So let me give you some advice that for the purpose of examination, how to prepare yourself in a very short. Let me tell you, just sorted your chapters in which you have some extra problems in there. Like some students find PGBP is very easy. Some finds capital gain easy, but salary is difficult. Some find vice versa also. So it might be possible in every subject you are dealing with this kind of problem, that in some topics you are finding them easy for you, or some topic you might be finding very difficult. It might be in theoretical also. So please, whatever is your weakness, identify them. With weakness, you are not able to clear this examination. You might be able to clear C intermediate, but it might be make difficult for you to pass out the second group. And then the final also there. So please work out, find your weaknesses. If you're able to find your weaknesses, then try to solve it. If you're finding PGBP is difficult, then you have to practice it. Revise the provision again. You can take help from your friend, etc. If there any friend who is good in PGBP, then you can take help. So asking for help is not a problem for anyone anytime, because that is very important that you should know your weakness. If your theoretical part is weak, do not run away from it. You have to practice, make short notes, try to learn the provisions with the help of diagram, etc. Because if you have some weakness, let me tell you, that will cost you in the examination. So it's very important, find your strength and find your weaknesses. For your strength, you have to make it stronger. And whatever your weakness is, you have to find the solution for it, because only you have to do it. If you think that I will leave those chapters, I know some students who were leaving like capital gains, sir, we will leave salary, but other four heads I will do properly. I've said, no, please don't do this kind of practice. Every chapter is important. Like somebody thinking income from other sources, very complicated. Let's leave this because it might come in the examination. Sir is also saying that it will be a part of a long question like 2 marks, 3 marks, etc. So let's leave that chapter. Do not even try to do that. You never know. That might be a 8 or 10 marks question will be from income from other sources, or it will be in 2 marks portion in 4 or 5 questions. So what will you do? So please do not leave anything. Do not think that something is not important, so we can skip it to it. Do not do this. Okay, there is one query. My TDS, TCS, RTI, and computation of gross total income is remaining. So my question is, should I start solving RTP or should I complete the whole income tax? Then I should start. Very good question, Ritika. Like this is kind of student you have to be. You have to be sincere about yourself. You should know what you want to do, and then you can take advice from others. You should not ask like this, sir, how will I prepare for income tax? There is no answer of it. Sir, how many hours we need to study to clear the examination? There is no specific benchmark that for this much you will study and you will able to clear the examination. It depends on person to person. Like every person have different kind of taste, different kind of brain, different kind of learning power, etc., focus, sincerity. So it will depend from person to person. It's a very subjective question. There is no specific formula for it, but specific formula is this. Before examination, you must complete it revision twice at least of your every chapter. I have told you also in numerical that how you will select your important question out of 200 or 300 questions series you have. So you need to revise those questions before your examination. How you will find it out, I will in detail. I have told you in the first revision class what we have discussed, that how you can mark those questions. Now Ritika is asking, my TDS, TCS, and some topics have been left. So should I go for RTP, etc., to solve a question, or first of all I should complete that? So it's a good question, Ritika, and of course you should complete all chapters first, because income tax is a very I can say beautiful topic. Everything is interconnected. Now you are seeing in income from other sources, we have to put the exemptions of clubbing, that 1500 rupees. So if you are not aware of that exemption, then you are not able to solve the question. In RTP, MTP, there will be almost all question which might be including. In a single question, you will see salary provision, there might be clubbing provision, then deduction provision, then might be TDS. You will be frustrated if you are trying to solve those questions before completing these chapters, because in that case your confidence level will be down, because you will feel oh my God, I am not able to solve the question. So that means I am not capable to solve these questions. So might be not able to clear the group. But that's the problem. You did not prepare till until you will cover all your chapters. So because income tax is like that, might be not in accounts like this, because there a single chapter is connected with the single topic, but income tax is correlated. If there is a question of capital gain and they are giving provision of set off of losses also, then until you will cover losses provision, you are not able to solve that question properly, not able to calculate tax only. So for the purpose of calculation of tax, we have to understand the whole provision, the gross total income, the deduction concept. Only then you will be able to solve this question. So in my opinion, you have to cover all your topic. You have to complete your topics first. Then please go ahead. That will boost your confidence. And of course, that will be make study interesting for you, because you will be able to understand each and everything clearly.
Yeah, so in this now, I would like to add on something. See, students, RTP is for a revisionary purpose, basically, and it checks your preparedness for the examination. So what we suggest ki first complete your, study from the study material, right? Along with that, what you can do, you can solve chapter-wise MCQs are there on the MCQ portal. You can do that MCQs from the MCQ portal also. Whenever you have finished your one chapter, you can do solve the MCQs related to that chapter. But since you are aware that we are also not going to be, you will not be only tested through independent MCQs, there would be integrated case scenario. Integrated क्या है? What it mean by integration? Integration का मतलब हुआ कि आपको 2 or 3 topics or the 2 or 3 concepts will be tested in a one single case scenario. ठीक है? अब जैसे कि आपका फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपका क्वेश्चन आया पीजीबीपी के रिलेटेड केस सिनेरियो फॉलो कर रहा है. अब वहां पे उन्होंने बोल दिया 44AD का 44AD रिलेटेड है, प्रेजम्पटिव इनकम है, फिर उसके लिए आपका एडवांस टैक्स लायबिलिटी इज डिफरेंट फॉर अ 44AD पर्सन. ठीक है, उसमें क्या डेट्स होती है, ड्यू डेट्स आर डिफरेंट, तो वो दैट प्रोविजन कैन बी टेस्टेड देयर. इट इज डिस्कस्ड इन योर एडवांस टैक्स TDS प्रोविजंस, बट दैट कैन बी टेस्टेड अलॉन्ग विद योर पीजीबीपी इनकम. ठीक है, लाइकवाइज आपका रिटर्न फाइलिंग की प्रोविजंस हैं, they are also dependent on the person, whether the person is required to do the tax audit, then that your date for filing return of income would be different in that case. So this is the integration. So means one provision cannot be singly tested in the ICS. There would be more than 2 or 3 provisions would be dealt in the ICS, integrated case scenario. So for that, we generally suggest students to first complete your study from the study material, complete the concepts given in the study mat and all. And of course, for practicing, you can refer other books also. There is no harm. But whatever is given, you have to complete from the study material at once or twice or thrice, at least, right? Then once you have done that, you can definitely attempt your ICS also, which is uploaded on the MCQ portal. I think most of you must be aware of the MCQ portal, right? वहाँ पे आपका you will find the independent MCQs also in your integrated case scenarios also. जब whenever you have done your study from your MCQ portal as well from your study material and all, then you should go and attempt your RTP. ठीक है, RTP आपको आंसर्स देखना नहीं है. You should not see and solve the questions. You first yourself try to solve the RTP. Then compare your answers with the solutions given in the RTP, right? जब आपने whenever you have done this process, you have finished with your RTP and all, then you should attempt the mock test papers. Mock test papers we come out with a 2 series of mock test papers for each attempt. So for that purpose, what we advise actually student, you should attempt those question paper, MTPs, mock test papers in an examination condition. What it means by examination conditions here? It means that you have to take that 3 hours time to solve that mock test paper. Take this 15 minutes reading time for descriptive portion. Select and choose your, descriptive questions. Then, of course, within that period of time, you have to solve all the ICS and the MCQs given in the MTP. Whenever you have finished with your 3 hours time, then you please stop doing your mock test paper. Don't, unnecessarily extend your time, because you would not be allowed to extend the time in the examination hall, right? So you have to do the MTP in the examination condition once you have done with your whole study, right? Then only you should go and do your MTPs. ठीक है, because यहाँ पे everything will be tested, है ना? And whatever, and even though if you are not able to attempt some of the questions in the MTP and you are not arriving at the correct answers, don't unnecessary, don't think that I am not prepared and all. You have still the time to go through those provisions where you are lacking. So again, revisit those provisions, again try to understand where are you lacking, mark those things where you have gone wrong. Those things you should will never forget in your examination. So for example, some similar type of questions if being asked in the examination, definitely the same mistake you are not going to repeat it again, right? As sir already told you, once you have, because this is the practicing time, your learning time, learning phase. Here if you're doing a mistake, it's good, it shows that you are preparing for examination. If you are not doing, you are not getting your you think that I know everything and you are doing everything right, so there is something wrong. वो तो पॉसिबल है ही नहीं, कुछ ना कुछ तो मस्ट बी देयर कि जहां पे आपकी गलतियां करोगे, एंड दिस इज द टाइम यू टू रेक्टिफाई योर मिस्टेक्स. ठीक है. सो एमटीपी आरटीपी आपको तभी करनी है वेन एवर यू हैव डन योर स्टडी कंप्लीटली, देन यू गो एंड डू योर आरटीपी and MTPs. For for September examination, you have already the RTP available for May 24 examination. That RTP is very much relevant for September examination. You can refer and do your RTP that, right, when if you feel that you have done with your study from the study mat, from your MCQs portal and your ICAI you have done, then definitely you please attempt the RTP available for the May examination. And the MTPs also, you can attempt the MTPs also. You have done your studies first. Right? This is the way. Or one thing is what we actually noticed many times, what the student do, they just read the answers in the study material given in the study material in the RTP. Please do not do this practice. You have to solve the questions on your own by taking a pen and paper, right? First, without seeing their solutions, try to do and solve your questions on your own. Then when you have done with your solution or answer, then please come, then you can compare your answers with the answers given in the study mat or in the other publications. Then you will come to know where are the areas where you are going wrong. Highlight those areas. So before the day of your examination, what you can do, you can revisit those things where you have done those mistakes and corrections, right? So this would also help you in your revising the things day before your examination, right? So you have already have the, let us recapitulate for revising the things. You have many tables, diagrams are given in the study mat, but still we ask the student to make your own notes. Whenever you do अपने आप से notes बनाओगे, when you do make your own notes, that will help you to understand the provision much better way. So we generally suggest that you should make your own notes. Definitely you can use help of your notes given by the sir also in the study mat also. You can use those things. But try to make your own your notes on yourself. Right, students? Any query relating to this thing?
No, ma'am.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. Now you can proceed, sir.
Okay, so there's a query. Joshua asking, sir, due to issue, I am not able to attend the live classes. My question, can I choose recorded batches of May? Yes, you can proceed with the recorded batches of May. Definitely for September, you can proceed with that. There's no issue. Any other query, students, for income from other source? So, Nisarg, can we close the session? I guess there is no more query left.